Okay, this is serious business now. Let me talk about something I heard this morning. I heard Randy Moss actually say that he was the greatest of all time. He was the best wide receiver in the history of the game. Um, Randy, I love you a lot, um, but I love your talent more than I actually love you as a person. Uh, uh, Mostly just because you made that statement. You know, in this game, in your game, in the game of life, football, basketball, the game, the world, in every game, there has to be respect. That's how men learn and grow up and get respect and get to the top of the heap. Um, Number one, you learn from the older guys, the guys that came before you. I remember I was working as a kid at Kaiser Aluminum with my dad, and it was in 1976. That was the first year that they allowed black guys to be pot operators. Kaiser Aluminum is a place where you make metal. I had 18 pots that I controlled. Each pot is 1,774 degrees. But anyway, I got that job, and I was a real sharp kid. And my dad was explaining some things to me about growing up, and I was probably 24, 25 years old. He said, always respect the old guys. I know you're real smart. You might be extra smart, but if you can look at a pot and know what kind of ore it needs just by looking at the color of it, that's great. That's brilliant. But they will love you and respect you more if you come to work every day early, on time, and never miss a day's work. And those are qualities that sounded at that time at my age like they were not too difficult to endeavor. Um, but it really is. That's part of being a man. Let me tell you how that connects to what I'm saying. Randy Moss came in the league, and and then on the other side, Chris Carter was there, who is truly one of the greatest receivers in the world. I think Anthony Carter closed on a ball after it was released from the quarterback's hand better than anybody I've ever seen. His career was short, and that's Chris's brother. But anyway, we're back to Chris Carter and Randy Moss. That was a hell of a combination. And then you had that big old boy throwing the ball, that big old quarterback. They tore up the league. Now, the next year, it was even more fantastic. Well, they got Randall Cunningham, I don't know, had set out a year or something. He left Philadelphia, though. But he went to Minnesota, and he took over. And that offense was almost as potent as that Ram offense with Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk and them guys. That Minnesota Viking offense was just spectacular every week. But Randy Moss, I want to say this. You caught some balls that maybe Jerry Rice would have had trouble catching. I mean, you have shown skill and ability. You can play wide receiver. You have played. You can make some catches, and you probably had more speed than Jerry Rice. But check, and you're bigger and taller and lankier and all that. Uh, Jerry Rice, I think, had one injury, and he set out and rehabbed, and they thought he was done, and he went back to the Raiders. And then I think he had one of the best seasons of his life after he reconstructed his knee and went back to the Super Bowl. I mean, Jerry Rice was like Michael Jordan. When they played back in those days, the 49ers, you just almost didn't look at the game because you knew they were going to win. And you knew Rice was going to catch 5 touchdowns. But as I said, I'm trying to, this is a very fine line. You might have better dexterity. I don't think you could have better reflexes than Jerry Rice, but you might have better dexterity. But Jerry Rice's work ethic is a lot better than yours. And Randy, I've seen you take off a lot of plays, a lot of plays. Some Sundays, some periods of 2 or 3 weeks, which means 2, 3, 4 games I've seen you take off. I've never seen Jerry Rice take off. Anytime he had his shoes on, he went 110%. Of course, he had John Taylor on the other side. I want to hear people talk more about John Taylor, too, because I think John Taylor is my homeboy, too, from New Orleans. But John Taylor might have been one of the greatest blocking receivers in the world. But Randy, you were not a great blocker. You still aren't. There have been some times I've seen you make some key blocks, though, but it's mostly a scrape, or you'll put your hands together and grip a guy's jersey between the pads, and whatever kind of block you get. If you help a guy to score, that's great. But Jerry Rice, in all those categories we're naming, longevity, playing 110%, 24/7, forever. No, you can't compare with him there. Skill level, speed, dexterity, reflexes, you can compare with him. You've made some great catches, man. You made some catches that few others could make. But that's not even the terrible part. The terrible part is, even if you were closer to the magnitude of Jerry Rice, you should never say that. Never say that. Let other guys say that. You don't say that. Come on, Randy. Come on. You're old enough. You got to grow up a little bit now. Okay.